On the G20, you were there meeting some of the leaders as well. Professor Schwab, what do you make of the result? Finally, they put something as a statement, and it seems quite positive with all the voices included.
I think it's positive. It's already positive through the fact that everybody agreed about the statement, which we haven't had the last years. Now, the base has been formed, but we have to go one step further. We have to have a strategic mood. We have to construct the world of tomorrow. It's a systemic transformation of the world. So we have to define how the world should look like, which we want to come out of this transformation period. I respect China's achievements, which are tremendous over the last over 40 years. I think it's a role model for many countries, but I think also we should leave it to each country to make its own decision, what system it wants to adopt. And I think we should be very careful in imposing systems. But the Chinese model is certainly a very attractive model for quite a number of countries.
Today's message is going to be about Klaus Schwab and the dragon. And the dragon is a symbol. I have a picture here of a dragon and a symbol of China. And that is the national symbol of China. But interestingly, this is the symbol of their government. And that's what I believe this is about. This is going to be about the government of China. In the book of Revelation, chapter 12, it says this: the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. So the dragon is none other than Satan, and he is the one that controls the governments of this world. I'll get into that as we continue. I want you to see a bit more, but some of you might know some of these other leaders in the world, such as Joe Biden, who seems to have a lot of Chinese secrets going on and works with China. Hunter Biden has been working with China, doing business with China. All kinds of business deals are going on. This is all done in secret because the devil works in the dark. He's been working in the dark. Another world leader that admires China's government is none other than Justin Trudeau of Canada.
There's a level of admiration I actually have for China. Their basic dictatorship is allowing them to actually turn their economy around on a dime and say, we need to go green as fast as we need to start, investing in solar. I mean, there is a flexibility that I know Stephen Harper must dream about, of having a dictatorship that he could do everything he wanted, that I find quite interesting.
Basic dictatorship that China has, he admires. Interesting, because he implemented some of those dictatorship-like principles into Canada recently with the Freedom Convoy. He does not appreciate freedom very much.
The federal government has invoked the Emergencies Act to supplement provincial and territorial capacity to address the blockades and occupations.
The federal government has invoked the Emergencies Act to address the blockades, to address the Freedom Convoy, to address those who might love freedom. The Bible says where Jesus is and where the Spirit of the Lord is, 2 Corinthians chapter 3:17. I'm going to read this verse for you just so you can see and understand. It says, the Lord is the Spirit, and where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. And where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. But in Canada, in America, where Klaus Schwab is, and where these world leaders want to rule, there seems to be a need or want for dictatorship and to take away the liberties of others. But let's just look at the spirit here behind those who don't like freedom. Well, let's look at Joe Biden for a second. Just consider what spirit they are of. It says here that the Biden administration's climate agenda reflects the spirit of Laudato Si. Laudato Si is a document that was written by Pope Francis, and it is regarding the climate agenda, and it, I don't believe, promotes very much liberty. I'll come to that as we continue, but there is another spirit definitely another spirit behind it. And these are spirits of devils. They work miracles, and they go to the kings of the whole earth and the world to gather them to the battle of the great day of God Almighty. This is the spirit behind Laudato Si. I want you to take a look at this. A digital currency should be adopted as the world's leading reserve currency. This is what they're telling us here, that they would like a digital currency to control things. Why do you think it is that they would like a digital currency? And this is coming from the World Economic Forum. Now let's just go again to our Bibles. Revelation chapter 13. It says this. It says that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name or the number of the beast. When you look at these things, we understand that there is going to be a currency that is going to be something that is used for a control grid. And that's what it says. A digital currency should be adopted as the world's leading reserve currency. This is the World Economic Forum. Klaus Schwab is the head of the World Economic Forum, and Klaus Schwab admires Chinese government. He admires communism. In Revelation chapter 12, verse 3, it tells us there appeared another wonder in heaven. Behold, a great red dragon having 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 crowns upon his head. These horns and crowns are significant. If you go to Revelation 17:12, the 10 horns which you saw are 10 kings. They symbolize the kings of the earth. And remember, the dragon goes to the kings of the earth. He has control of them. So this is what these symbolize. They symbolize the divided kingdom here of Rome and the Roman monarchy that tried to destroy Jesus as soon as he was born, as it says in Revelation 12:4. This was the pagan Roman Empire. Daniel 7:23 has a prophecy of 4 beasts, and it says the 4th beast shall be the 4th kingdom upon the earth. So this kingdom has 10 horns, which is 10 kings. It's a divided kingdom. And that was the Roman monarchy during the time before the Dark Ages, but also during the Dark Ages time period. And in this Dark Ages time period, many were persecuted and killed. Not a history that you're going to get in your schools these days, because they have a different agenda. Revelation 13, it says, I stood upon the sand of the sea, saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns. And upon his horns 10 crowns, another beast with 10 horns. And upon his horns heads the name of blasphemy. And the beast which I saw was like a leopard, his feet were as the feet of a bear, his mouth is the mouth of a lion. And the dragon, Satan, gave him his power, his seat, and great authority. The dragon through pagan Rome, because the dragon is none other than Satan. He has control of the kings of the earth. Through pagan Rome, he gives this beast, which is the papal Rome, its power, its seat, and its great authority, so that this power can control the kings of the earth. And this power can use these kings of the earth to control policies, to control the way in which people live. If you continue to read in this chapter here, you go down to Revelation 13:11, it says, I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth. He had 2 horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. This other beast is going to come up out of the earth, which is a symbol of the United States. It has 2 horns like a lamb, implying it was not a monarchy. The other beast had a bunch of crowns on its horns. Crowns symbolize king's monarchy. And in the United States, there was a constitution which enveloped freedom. It was lamb-like. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. But this other spirit of the dragon would come in, which is none other than a communist type of government, a dragon-like government, very similar to Chinese government. But this beast would exercise all the power of the first beast. Remember, the dragon gave this beast his power, seat, and authority, and he would do great things, and they would make an image of the first beast, and then they would say, let's make a law that no man should buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name or the number of his name. There is going to be a control grid set up, and this digital currency is what they want to adopt in order to control everybody from being able to buy or sell. And of course, the World Economic Forum is a big part of it, and of course, Klaus Schwab is a big part of it, and that's why I titled this video Klaus Schwab and the Dragon. Pope Francis is calling for a new economic model. Of course, the beast would want a new economic model because the beast wants to control the grid, and they want to, as he says, rebuild a post-coronavirus world. Rebuild, or build back better, as some might say, because even Klaus Schwab said, we are the ones that construct the future. We are the ones that are building here. And when you get in your Bibles, you go to the book of Genesis, where Babylon is first mentioned, you'll notice that they were coming together. And what did they say in Genesis 11? They said, let's go and build. Let's build something. And so they said, let us build a city and a tower whose top may reach to heaven, and let us make us a name, lest we be scattered upon the face of the earth. And the Lord came down to see the city and the tower which the children of men built. And so this is no different than what they're amounting to right now. They want to rebuild in the post-coronavirus world. They want to use a new economic model. They want to control who might be able to buy or sell. This is APEC, a CEO summit, and this is what it says here at the bottom. Klaus Schwab unveils his new logo. Now, if you take a close look at this logo here from APEC, APEC has a logo which is a Nazi symbol. Look at that symbol. It's a Nazi symbol. And not just that, but this is right in your face. They're telling you they want to control people, very similar to what Adolf Hitler did in the war. Now let's just keep on going here. I just want you to listen to this video. APEC stands for the Asia Pacific Economic Cooperation. It's an economic Build Back Better program. It's part of the economy and the World Economic Forum. They want to build this new economy, this new control grid system. And listen, do you think that China and America are separate, or are they going to be one? Let's just listen to the leader of France here, Emmanuel Macron, as he speaks on this. I'm going to just play this video for you.
Trying to become more and more nervous. If they become very nervous and start war, it will be a big problem for the rest of the jungle. You need cooperation of a lot of other animals. Tigers, monkeys, and so on. Are you on the US or the Chinese side? Because now, progressively, a lot of people would like to see there are two orders in this world. This is a huge mistake. Even for both the US and China. We need a single global order.
A single global order. Interesting, isn't it, that they would want a single global order? Maybe China and US are very close together. Maybe the dragon is bringing them all together. Maybe the dragon wants to bring part of this and part of that until they have one strategic plan and partnership working together. In fact, the World Economic Forum and the United Nations signed this strategic partnership framework. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about these 10 horns, because at the end of the world, there's to be a gathering of these 10 horns, and they're to receive power for 1 hour, a very short space, as it says in Revelation chapter 17. In this map here, we have the 10 regions of the world, the United Nations Millennium Development Goals of 2009. And in these 10 regions, you'll notice over on the right, you'll see China as one of the 10 regions. And over on the left, you'll see the United States as one of the 10 regions. As you can see, there is a one world global order with these 10 regions. And let me go to my Bible and explain this now. Look at this. It says the 10 horns which you saw are 10 kings which have received no kingdom as yet, but will receive power as kings 1 hour with the beast. These have one mind, it says. These have one mind. So these kings are united. These are united nations, united kings. They are working together, and then they give their power and strength unto this beast. Let's consider this beast for a sec. I just want you to consider this beast. Revelation chapter 17. Again, it says in Revelation 17:3, it says, "He carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet-colored beast." Now consider this color. This is not a leopard-like beast as in Revelation. This is a scarlet-colored beast. This is a red beast. This is none other than Satan himself. This is that old dragon with 10 horns, as it says, having 7 heads and 10 horns. You'll see the same beast in Revelation chapter 12, where it says, "There appeared another wonder in heaven. Behold, a great red," or scarlet, colored dragon, a scarlet colored beast having 7 heads and 10 horns. And he had 7 crowns upon his heads. This was during pagan Rome Empire. And during this time, the dragon stood before the woman. He wanted to give this woman a ride in Revelation 12, but this woman is being a pure woman. She's clothed in white. She's not the woman like in Revelation 17. This woman in Revelation 17 that sits upon the scarlet colored beast, it says, is committing fornication with the kings of the earth. A woman in Bible prophecy symbolizes the church. And this is an apostate church. This is the woman that uses the kings of the earth. She sits on the beast. She gets her power, her seat, and her authority from none other than Satan himself. Who is the papacy working with? The United Nations. What are they working towards? A climate agenda, 2030 climate agenda. And just listen to what it says here. This is from America, the Jesuit Review. Pope Francis calls on Christians to repent and modify our lifestyles to save the planet. Now, I want you to go down to the second paragraph. I'm not going to talk too much on this, but he says, exaggerated self-centeredness, he said, has led to the loss of biodiversity and the extinction of countless and has greatly impacted the lives of the poor and the vulnerable indigenous populations. Now, I want you to understand biodiversity here for a second. It says the variety of life in the world or in a particular habitat or ecosystem. So when they are protecting biodiversity and they want to protect biodiversity, as Pope Francis is calling for, what do they want to protect? They want to protect the birds, the bees, the trees, and the animals and all that stuff. They want to protect nature. I believe there's a little bit more to it, and I'll come to that as we continue. There is obviously more to it, but I'll explain here. Let me give you a map that the United Nations has made of the United States, and it has to do with a convention on biological diversity and the Wildlands Project. This is from the 1990s, and this is from the United Nations. This is a completely, this is traitorous for the United States to even adopt this, but Bill Clinton did sign it in, and this was the map, and this is what they pushed in the 90s, and you'll see what's going on here and how this all connects to Bible prophecy. Let's look at this. So this map here is the simulated reserve and corridor system to protect biodiversity. This is the Pope wants to protect, right? Pope is working with the United Nations. It says, as required by the UN Convention on Biological Diversity, Wildlands Project, UN and US Man and Biosphere Programs and World Heritage Program, as a vital step in attaining sustainable development. Now, that's what Agenda 2030 is called. It's called the Sustainable Development Agenda, the United Nations Sustainable Development Agenda. To understand this map, there's a red zone down at the bottom here on the left side. It says core reserves and corridors, and it says little to no human use. They want these parts in the red zones to not be used by humans. That's interesting, isn't it? That means that you will be off limits. You will not be allowed to travel. It's called the lockdowns, climate lockdowns. They're coming. The yellow zones will be buffer zones, highly regulated use. They will have a control grid going on. This is a United Nations control grid. They want to keep you from the rivers, from the lakes, and all the nice places, and they want to control you and move you into little smart cities that they have planned. These are all planned. Here, just let me give you a closer look here of Texas and what they've done to Texas. They mapped out Texas. In the red zones, it's reserves and corridors, little to no human use. You can see all the lockdowns of all the major highways from place to place. So you will be unable to move out of your town or city. You will be unable to go to visit grandma anymore over in Oklahoma or wherever it is. You will not be able to travel. This is what they want to control. And then the yellow zones are going to be highly regulated use, highly buffer zones, control grids. It's all control. Lockdowns in China right now are a major part of their society. Let's just look at some of our government here. John Kerry, the climate czar for Joe Biden. John Kerry wants to emulate COVID lockdowns for climate change. So he thinks that the lockdowns are a good idea, and they've just been preparing us and getting us ready for what the true lockdowns that are coming as mapped out years ago. And that was what coronavirus was about. There were many things to coronavirus. Obviously, destroying the economy is a big part of that because that's what it did. It made a lot of people sit at home while no production was done, and they gave a lot of people money. You've got inflation through the roof right now. We are in a time where we're coming to where people are unable to buy or sell anymore. They're getting to the point where they can't afford anything, and they're going to bring in this new economy. And only the people who go along with the system will be allowed to buy or sell. See, again, world needs equivalent of pandemic lockdown every 2 years to meet the carbon emission goals of Paris. This is from Forbes magazine, and I could get you all kinds of articles on these lockdowns, but that's what it is, lockdowns. Very similar to what we had going on with the pandemic, such as in Philippines here, where we had no movement Sundays. I'll explain this and consider this, especially in more videos, as I'm going to do more videos on these things, because there is a lot that we have to share right now. There is a lot going on, and I hope that you will share these far and wide. These videos need to go out. These videos need to be heard loud and clear. Look, let's just understand right now what's going on in China. This is going to be the government of the world. This is the model government of the world, as Klaus Schwab said, and as these other world leaders want. They want dictatorships. They want a control grid. They want people to be unable to move. They want lockdowns. They're telling us right in our faces. This is not hidden. This is what they're telling us they want to do, and this is what the Bible has told us would come to pass. This is what China is like right now. I'll just give you a brief understanding. They're fighting back right now because they can't do it anymore. They've been locked down for hundreds of days, and they've been in their houses. They weld their doors shut in their buildings. One building caught on fire and burned the whole entire building down and everybody in it because they're welding the door shut, and then the people couldn't get out. Klaus Schwab and the dragon, again, so you understand this is the model government. This is what they want to do. This is what they're looking for. They want to build back better, but the type of building in which they want to do is the model is China. Listen to what Klaus Schwab again has to say here.
On the G20, you were there meeting some of the leaders as well. Professor Schwab, what do you make of the result? Finally, they put something as a statement, and it seems quite positive with all the voices included.
I think it's positive. It's already positive through the fact that everybody agreed about the statement, which we haven't had the last years. Now the base has been formed, but we have to go one step further. We have to have a strategic mood. We have to construct the world of tomorrow. It's a systemic transformation of the world. So we have to define how the world should look like, which we want to come out of this transformation period. I respect China's achievements, which are tremendous over the last over 40 years. I think it's a role model for many countries, but I think also we should leave it to each country to make its own decision what system it wants to adopt. And I think we should be very careful in imposing systems. But the Chinese model is certainly a very attractive model for quite a number of countries.
The Chinese model is the attractive model. They want to construct or build back better. And that's what they want to do. They want to build something, construct something that is, of course, Babylonian. It's building a Babylonian system, the 10 horns in Revelation 17, the mother of harlots. As it says, Revelation chapter 17, if I go back here, it tells you the kingdom. Upon her forehead was a name written, Mystery, Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. This woman that fornicates with the kings of the earth is called Babylon. And the ultimate king that she's riding is none other than Lucifer. It says, thou shalt take up this proverb against the king of Babylon and say, how hath the oppressor ceased, the golden city ceased? Listen, this is talking about the king of Babylon here. This is a proverb against the king of Babylon. And it says in verse 12, how art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? It's none other than Satan himself. He is the king of Babylon. So when you look at Revelation 17, you understand this scarlet-colored beast that gets power. As it says, he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet-colored beast. That's none other than the red dragon. That's Satan. He's the king of Babylon. He's the one who controls all the kingdoms of this world. He's the one who came to Jesus and said, all these kingdoms will I give you if you'll bow down and worship me. And so that is the king of this world. And what other way would this kingdom be but Chinese dragon-like government? That's exactly what the United Nations is going to be modeling after. Listen, barbaric torture, brainwashing, forced organ removals inside China's brutal death camps. They've killed more people than the papacy's killed in China over the last century. And notice what it says here. It says China is asserting its worldview at the United Nations as their influence grows. The 10 horns? Well, guess who's going to be the big one? Guess who's going to be the real the standing government for this. It's the dragon-like kingdom. It's going to be the Chinese government. And it says China is now a pillar of UN peacekeeping with potential implications for human rights. When the peacekeepers are coming to America, they're going to be Chinese people through UN outfits, UN armies. China, thank you, China. United Nations peacekeeping. This is what it is. And of course, the papacy, when you think about the papacy, listen to this carefully, okay? This is what they were asked. They asked themselves, is China the model of the common good? And then they said, China is the one that is influencing the world and pushing the policies and the social doctrine of the Catholic Church. They tell us this in their own articles. They're telling us that China is the model and therefore the common good. Now listen about the common good. I'm going to just share with you a couple things with respect to the common good here. This is what Pope Francis says in his encyclical on the environment, which is Laudato Si, which is the spirit, of course, of Joe Biden. Joe Biden says, in the spirit of Laudato Si, right, that we're working towards, this government will be. But it says, today, in view of the common good, there is urgent need for politics and economics to enter into a frank dialogue in the service of life and especially human life. So, in regards to the common good, economics, China is the model of the common good, right? Economic model, maybe? Of course, look at Pope Francis urges forming a new world economic order to work for the common good. Yes, as it says in the Bible, no man might buy or sell, save he that has the mark or the name or the number of the beast. We know that it has to do with this economy, this new economic model. What kind of economic model? This is, again, a Roman publication from the papacy, Times of Malta. They tell us a digital economy for the common good. It's just right in our faces. Nothing is hidden here. And, this has been going on for a while. Remember, the Catholics were urged to remember the common good in the shot debate, right? They were to remember this, not to forget it, because this was all for the common good. You lock down, you don't go to work, you destroy your business, and then we'll give you something new. We'll bring in a new economic world order for the common good. And they're all working together. They all work together in Event 201, the pandemic exercise. This was done in 2019 they knew what was coming regarding the coronavirus and regarding the whole system and bringing out these shots and everything like that. It was done in 2019 before it even started. And this was done together with World Economic Forum, the Bill and Melinda Gates Society. They were all doing this together. Listen.
It's a very pertinent question to ask, how do we build back better?
To build back better or whatever.
We have a chance to reset the clock and build back better than before.
To build back better than before.
Remember the terrible damage of COVID as we try to build back from this global pandemic.
Joe Biden calls it build back better.
Build back better.
Building back better.
To do things differently. To build back better.
We're going to build it back better.
And build it back better.
It's my plan to build back better.
Start taking all the problems that have been created in education and mental health and start to build back in a positive way.
I have launched a booklet called Build Back Better, Britain After Coronavirus.
It's about building this country back better.
Growing conspiracy following it. It is called the Great Reset.
An unprecedented opportunity to rethink and reset the ways in which we live.
The great opportunity for reset.
The theory even calls Mr. Biden's campaign slogan, Build Back Better, a front for the conspiracy.
Build back better.
Building back better our economy.
Build back better.
All elements of the Great Reset are fundamental to building the future we need.
This pandemic has provided an opportunity for a reset.
It's a big effort some would say to build back better. We would say to really have a great reset.
Conspiracy.
They understood what was coming.
Hello, everyone. I'm Anita Cicero, Deputy Director of the Johns Hopkins Center for Health Security. And today I will be your Master of Ceremonies for Event 201. On behalf of our center and our partners, the World Economic Forum and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, the goal of the Event 201 exercise is to illustrate the potential consequences of a pandemic and the kinds of societal and economic challenges it would pose. Today's scenario is going to simulate meetings of a multi-stakeholder group called the Pandemic Emergency Board. This board has been urgently convened by the World Economic Forum.
The scenario you will be presented with this morning could easily become one a shared reality one day. I fully expect that we will be confronted by a fast-moving, highly lethal pandemic of a respiratory pathogen.
I don't know if you noticed on the World Health Organization, there is a little serpent around a pole. The World Health Organization working together with the World Economic Forum, the United Nations, and that serpent around a pole is none other than that old serpent that was around the pole in the Garden of Eden in Genesis chapter 3. It's Satan, and he is working through this power.
It began in healthy-looking pigs, months, perhaps years ago. A new coronavirus spread silently within herds. Gradually, farmers started getting sick. Infected people got a respiratory illness with symptoms ranging from mild flu-like signs to severe pneumonia. The sickest required intensive care. Many died.
Global health experts have highlighted that dis and misinformation are wreaking havoc on the CAP's response. Health workers are under attack in a number of locations due to rumors that they are purposely spreading the disease. And response efforts in many places have had to be suspended because of concerns around violence. Pharmaceutical companies are being accused of introducing the CAPS virus so they can make money on drugs and vaccines, and have seen public faith in their products plummet. Unrest due to false rumors and divisive messaging is rising and is exacerbating spread of the disease as levels of trust fall and people stop cooperating with response efforts. This is a massive problem, one that threatens governments and trusted institutions. National governments are considering or have already implemented a range of interventions to combat misinformation. Some governments have taken control of national access to the internet. Others are censoring websites and social media content. And a small number have shut down internet access completely to prevent the spread of misinformation.
Is that the communist government, or is that going to be the liberty, the Constitution, your freedom of speech? Is that protecting your constitutional republic in the United States? What government do you think is coming in here, and what do you think is being pushed by these leaders, including men like Joe Biden, who's the president of the United States? But they're working together in the spirit of Laudato Si, in the spirit of the papacy. And the papacy did this during the Dark Ages. They controlled the voice of the people so that the voice of the dragon became the primary voice that was heard around the world. And that voice is being heard through television. Pope calls for a new economic order. He criticizes capitalism. Of course, he's going for this new economic order. In his encyclical Laudato Si, it tells us that Sunday, like the Jewish Sabbath, is meant to be a day which heals our relationships with God, with ourselves, with others, and with the world. Why is Sunday such a big deal? Why is it so important to them? Well, that is their holy day, and I'll come to that in a different video. I'll go to that and talk about that a little bit more. But we are told by them, they tell us this, that Sunday is their mark of authority. The church is above the Bible, and this transference of Sabbath observance is proof of that fact. So they know that their mark is Sunday. Sunday is the mark of the beast. Sunday is a day which they're going to use with regards to the climate agenda, and I'll come to that as we continue in different videos and stuff like that. I don't want to make these videos too long. I want to give you some time to just meditate on this, and then I want to make another video that's going to break down these things in more detail. So you have to stay tuned for the next video. You're going to get more and more understanding of what's all coming to pass here, God willing, as we continue to broadcast these things, hopefully. Here, Revelation 18 in verse 1 says, "There's another angel that comes from heaven, having great power, enlightening the earth with his glory. He cries mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the Great is fallen, is become the habitation of devils, hold of every foul spirit, and a cage of every unclean, hateful bird." Now, why is she fallen? What did she do? Well, she fornicated with the kings of the earth. That's what it says in verse 3. Because she has been made the nations drunk with the wine of her fornication, the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. In Revelation 18:4, when you hear and understand this church and state union is taking place, you know that her fornication is a symbol of her judgment, as it says in Revelation 17. And this judgment is Babylon is fallen. We're to give a loud cry, and we're to call people, as it says in Revelation 18:4, to come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that receive not of her plagues. Come out of her, my people. Come out of Babylon. See, like the map that I showed of the United States, it was moving people into the cities. God has a message to come out. Come out, because there's going to be some destruction coming. We understand these 10 horns or 10 kings. And it says when this woman is fornicating with these kings of the earth, they're going to make her naked, but they're going to make her desolate. And Jesus warned us of these things in Matthew 24, where he said, when you see the abomination of desolation, so something makes desolate, or the abomination that maketh desolate. And there's an abomination. This woman in Revelation 17 tells us this woman is the mother of abominations of the earth. She is the mother of abomination, the mother of harlots, mystery, Babylon the Great. And we are to see and understand when we see what makes her desolate. And what makes her desolate is the 10 horns. Her fornication with the kings of the earth. Her church and state union. And there's to be a message to be understood. Come out of her, my people. Jesus said when you see the abomination of desolation, you're to flee. It's a sign. Come out of her, my people. It's a sign. Get out of the city. It's a sign from an angel saying, look, Babylon is fallen. She's fornicating with the kings of the earth. Church and state is uniting with the United Nations, and they want to implement this agenda, and they're going to rule for 1 hour. And there's only one choice. Come out of her, unless you receive of her plagues. And the Bible says that the dragon deceives the whole world. See, again, Revelation chapter 12, verse 9, it says this, the dragon will deceive the whole world with his angels, which are cast out with him. In Revelation 18:23, it talks about the light of the candle shining no more at all in thee. And the voice of the bridegroom, that's to do with God's voice. It's not going to be heard much more at all in these people that are in Babylon. And it's just, you're not going to hear the voice because it's going to shut down. And that's what's happening to a lot of people's minds, the brain. The voice is not being heard. Their conscience is being shut down. And a lot of it has to do with the pharmakia that's being served up here. It says, thy merchants were the great men of the earth, and by thy sorceries were all nations deceived. The devil deceives them all. But it says by her sorceries. And if you look this word up here, it's the word pharmakia, which means medication or pharmaceuticals. And if you look it up in the Greek, in the Thayer's definition, it'll tell you it's poison.
In Shanghai, life is going back to normal. But caution remains high, and new tools are being used to avoid a second wave of infections. QR codes have now become the passports that allow Chinese people to move around. To get into a shop, one must show a green health code proving good health. This is obtained by scanning a mosaic through a mobile app.
So again, the Chinese COVID passports, these have been in place for a while. This was implemented, and now they're at the point where they're locking people in their buildings and they're welding them shut. They're in the point where they won't allow people even back into their apartments, some of them, without getting a test to prove that they have not got COVID. And they'll lie out on the streets and sleep at night. They've got prison camps set up everywhere. This is, again, the model of Klaus Schwab. This is the model of the United Nations. This is the model of Justin Trudeau, of Joe Biden, of John Kerry, of all these world leaders. The kings of the earth are modeling after this. And of course, it's the model of the papacy. This is the model that pushes the common good. And so this is why it says, coming soon to the United Nations, Chinese leadership and authoritarian values. It's the model of the dragon. The dragon is working here with their COVID pass. It is none other than Satan himself that would have a government like that, where there is no liberty. And where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. And as the Bible says, there is a nation that came up with the Spirit of the Lord that was lamb-like. But it will speak as a dragon. It will implement a communist government. And that government will be none other than coming through the United Nations, the 10 horns, as we said. And there will be a digital economy with it where no man will be able to buy or sell, save he that has the name, number, or mark of the beast. And so, again, please share these things, like these things, comment on the bottom, share your comments, your thoughts, what you think is going on as well. This helps to get the messages out there. And also, please subscribe to the Rumble channel, the Telegram channel, and other channels that are helping us to get these messages out. And God help you, and God be with you, and inspire you also. And I thank you, and I'll see you in the next video. God bless.